Okay, let's cut all the bullshit when it comes to meditation. I don't know why, but meditation is not taught correctly. A lot of people that I meet, a lot of people that I talk about, don't have the right perspective on meditation. So here, I'm gonna debunk everything that meditation is not and give you what meditation really is and how to do it, and that everyone can do it, including you. There is no failure in meditation, right? So if you want to start meditation in 2024 as maybe one of your New Year's resolutions, if you feel like maybe meditation can be very good for you because you have a lot of thoughts, you cannot sleep because you're thinking so much, maybe you feel a little bit absent of reality because there's so much thoughts and things and emotions going on, meditation can be perfect. Also, when you tried it a lot of times, but it didn't work for you, this video is going to be perfect for you because I'm going to debunk everything. And probably when you have the feeling it didn't work for you, it's probably because you didn't have the right perspective on it and the right way of viewing it. So let's go. Meditation 101. I'm so happy with your intention of even watching this video, and I'm going to do my best to explain everything I can in my 10-year journey so far in meditating to give you the best experience. So let's first start and debunking what it is not. A lot of people, and I completely understand if you thought this, but a lot of people think meditation is quieting the mind. The first thing you do, quiet the mind. Now, guess what? When your mind is not trained and you didn't practice meditation yet, it's very, very, very hard to quiet the mind. It's so hard that it's like saying to somebody who says like, oh yeah, maybe I want to start, exercising. Maybe I would love to start running. And the person immediately said, okay, run a marathon. It's going to be mega hard. You're not going to be immediately running a marathon without any training. Maybe some of you, but most of it's not going to happen. And then when you try it, you say, yeah, I tried running, but I didn't make it. I didn't do the whole marathon, so maybe it's not for me. The amount of pressure you put on yourself by saying you have to quiet the mind is intense. And that's the biggest thing to debunk right from the start. It's not about quieting the mind. Let your mind be loud. Let your mind be messy. And I will come back on that later, but it's not about quieting. Like, it's not about quieting the mind. Let's stop that. Let's. If you ever thought that, go. Let it. When you're advanced in meditation, you are able to quiet your mind. But it's a side effect. It's a side effect of you putting in the practice. At one point, you will notice, I can have to. I'm thinking. Choop, thinking gone. You will reach that state when you practice. It's not going to take very long for you to reach that state, but it's also not going to happen in the very first try or in the very first week. You have to do a little bit of practice on this. For me, it happened, I think, after 2 or 3 months, right? So 2 or 3 months of having no effect and kind of not being able to quiet the mind. At one point, I started to feel that mute button. For everyone, that's different. Maybe you will have it in a week. Maybe you will have it in half a year. But it will happen when you practice the thing that I'm going to teach you in this meditation, or in this video. And it's not about quieting the mind. So let's first debunk that. It's about observing the mind. It's about letting the mind be messy. Meditation is really about actually, the mind can be very loud. And it's not about the meditation itself. I really want to say it's not about the meditation itself. The meditation can be messy, it can be painful, it can be very uncomfortable, it can be very boring. Meditation can be very boring. And it's not about all of that. It's about, okay, I sat for 20 minutes, half an hour, and how did the rest of your day go? And then that's when it gets interesting. So also people a lot of time try to judge their session, but it's not about judging their session. It's actually let the session be whatever it is. Don't judge the session. Don't judge any meditation session. But see if your day went any better. Maybe your day was clearer. Maybe you made clearer decisions. Maybe you just were more peaceful. Or when an emotion arose, maybe normally you would flip and now you didn't flip. And you're like, hey, wow, I didn't flip. That's cool. That feels like more peaceful. So it's not about the meditation itself, because a lot of stuff can come up when you take the time to sit with yourself. It's actually the rest of your day that is the different part. So that's another very important point, right? The best metaphor really is that meditation is this gym for your mind. It's a mental gym. It's mental exercising. But when our muscles, it's kind of in a way exercising, but it also is opposite. When our muscles, when we want to exercise our muscles, we need to engage them. The thing is, our mind is always engaged. It's processing all this information, having all these thoughts, having all these impulses, and filtering information and doing all this stuff and thinking about about ourselves, about others, about judgments, it's always active. So to actually exercise the mind, it's not that we have to engage it, we have to disengage it. We have to stop the mind, not by quieting the mind, but by observing it and not giving it any energy. And another thing, I already said it, it's gonna be messy. Meditation is messy. And the weird thing is you just sit on a chair, or you just sit, or maybe even lay down, and it can be chaos, absolute chaos, right? So that's really good to know that if you ever tried it and you thought for half an hour long, you're like, ah, shit, it didn't work. It did work. You did it perfectly. You had a perfect meditation. What happened after that meditation, right? And the concept of this, I always call this the fountain of thought. When you meditate, you're gonna observe. And I'm going through the process a little bit, but the main thing is observe. Observing everything in your inner and outer reality without reacting to it. So if you're observing and you're sitting there and there's a thought arising like, oh man, how many minutes do I still have left? Or, ah shit, I should send that email. I didn't send that yesterday. Or, I wonder what the time is. Or, there's so many thoughts that can arise, right? Instead of, I wonder what the time is, and then reacting to it by saying, let me look at the time. You just have the thought, I wonder what the time is, and you just observe that thought and you let it go. Or you don't do anything with it, really. You just observe it. Just like looking at a car passing by. Right? Looking like a car passing by with the text, how late is it? And then you can do like, oh yeah, indeed, how late is it? And you can look at the time, or you can watch the car coming by and just like, okay, there was a car. And you just do nothing, right? That's the process, really. I'm gonna go into that later in this video, but what I wanna say is these thoughts, the fountain of thought. So these thoughts are arising, but at one point in your meditation, and when you do longer meditations, especially when you talk about 45 minutes to an hour or longer, you will notice that that fountain of thought will stop. And that's an epic moment. It's an absolutely beautiful moment. You feel like, oof, like it's indescribable, that feeling, really. That fountain of thought will stop. Your thoughts will at one point stop when you do nothing with them. When you start reacting to them, and you just have a thought and you're just like, oh yeah, this and that, and you start to kind of play with that, giving that thought energy, giving that thought a reaction. It's hard, but if you train yourself to observe and only accept the thoughts and letting them pass and letting them pass and letting them pass and letting them pass, at one point this fountain of thoughts stops. And that's extremely peaceful. That feeling is extremely awesome. And when that happens the first time, I celebrate your growth, because for me that took a long time, years. I don't want it for you to take years. That's why I'm making this video. I want for you to give the best guide possible. So there will be, I want to give you the assurance that the fountain of thought will stop at one point. And maybe it takes you a month of meditating. Maybe you need to do one time, and when you get the hang of it, maybe you first do 20 minutes a day. When you get the hang of it, you do one time an hour, and you will notice that the same technique that you used in 20 minutes will actually stop the fountain of thought in 45 minutes or an hour. So that's an amazing feeling. That's not the goal though. The goal is just to observe. There is really no goal, and that's also why judgment is really not a thing in meditation. It doesn't matter if you sit for 5 minutes or for an hour. The goal is just to sit and to observe. To sit and observe. That's the opposite of to constantly think and react. It's to sit and observe, to relax, to just be there, sit and observe. So yeah, that's really important to know, that it's not a goal to stop your mind. It's not a goal to reach extremely blissful states. Those are just side effects of the main action. And the main action, the main process is to observe. So let's go into the process right now. I want to give you all the tips that I can. I will make another meditation. This will just be an explanation video, but I will make a guided meditation, which is only going to be guided the first 5 minutes, and the rest of the meditation is just you sitting with yourself and your thoughts, your fountain. But I wanted to explain what I'm doing here and then give you an audio track to meditate to whenever you want to, right? So the process. First of all, it's good to sit. You can also do it standing. Sometimes I was standing in the shower. You can also do it laying down, but then you have definitely the possibility to sleep, to fall asleep, and you don't want to fall asleep. If you fall asleep, completely fine, your body needed it, right? But laying down makes it way easier to daydream, to slip away, to fall asleep. So most of the time you sit. You try to have an okay spine, straight spine, but not too erect, not like, I'm gonna meditate. Just chill straight spine for a relaxed straight spine. You can go into this classic meditation pose. It's very hard for me. I just like to sit on a chair. It will work just fine. So don't think you have to be all in this posture where you see people, meditating on a mountaintop. It's not about that really. It's just about you observing yourself, and you can best do that in a comfortable posture. So just sit. You can put your hands next to each other, or what I sometimes like to do is to put one hand on my belly and to put one hand on my heart. There's a couple reasons why I like to do that sometimes, and I do that at the beginning, and after that I will just let them fall down naturally. Why I'm doing this is to feel my breath going in, first expanding the lower belly and then expanding the chest, and also to feel my heartbeat. Those two things are incredibly relaxing, right? Notice your breath and notice your heartbeat. That's are two of the things that you can already observe that are pretty constant. It can put you almost in a trance sometimes, but in a trance of awareness. So it's not that you're zoofing away, it's actually that you become very present with your body and you start to tune into your body. Also, another thing, what really helps when you have an overactive mind, tune into the body. So these hands here, especially in the beginning, can really help. If you feel you have a very overactive mind, even tapping a little bit in the beginning, tapping your body, like saying to your mind, no, this is the topic, will definitely work. So that's posture. Then breath. I like to start with 3 deep breaths. Now why is that? When you do a deep breath and you relax, especially so you full in, like fully lower belly, all the way up to the chest, and then you relax and you can even sigh on the exhale. you automatically relax. If you have any stress or any tension, it will relax. So it doesn't matter if you do this in between work sessions or in the morning while you had a crazy dream or in the evening. You kind of shoos off your day a little bit and you start to get into a relaxed state. When you just try to meditate without these 3 breaths, it's hard. So you can do in the beginning 3 breaths and then relax. And this will be also in the guided meditation. So when we have these 3 breaths, it's amazing, and then you can relax. If you still don't feel relaxed, do another 3 breaths. Do as many breaths as you want. But you do a couple times a big breath, and then you just tune your breath back to normal. Still, you can have your hands here, and you will feel that your normal breath is not as deep, but it can still be very relaxing. And try after those big deep breaths to stop controlling your breath, to just have natural breathing, just to even relax the control of your breath, right? So when that's ready, you have a good posture, you focus on your breathing. It's all, and the only thing, really the only thing to meditate is to observe yourself. To observe yourself and to accept yourself. Completely. And there will be moments that are going to be very hard to accept. There will be moments where you notice your own judger or your own trigger or your own planner, right? Or your own stressor, like the thing inside you, the thoughts inside you that always make you feel stressful. At one point you start to observe them, you start to observe, wow. First, you are controlled by these thoughts. But after a while of meditating, you start to observe these thoughts and like, hey, that thought is stressing me out, right? That's a big win. When you observe yourself, when you catch yourself thinking, when you catch yourself a pattern that you have, like creating stress for yourself, that's a big win. You can give yourself a big pat on the back on that, because that's kind of the little wins in the process. The little dopamine hits in the process are really you catching yourself constantly. So the only thing you have to do is observe, and there will thoughts come up, and you will feel your heartbeat, and there will be sounds outside, and you just observe. You just observe constantly. Now, if it helps, you can maybe visualize your thoughts coming up and then putting it in a little bubble and letting it flow away. Or the car analogy that I just used. It's like, a thought, there's a car coming, and you just stick the thought on a car and the car flows away. If you're visual, I'm not so visual, but if you're visual, you can use your visual mind to use kind of a bubble, a cloud, a car, or a river stream that's constantly flowing, and the thought comes and you just let it flow away with the river. This will be highly effective in the beginning if your mind is very active, to have kind of this, like, thought, I put it in a bubble, it's going. Another thought, I put it in a bubble, it's going. It can help you in this observational thing. Now you observe, and you observe, and you observe. Now, when we just do this for only a couple seconds, so we take a deep breath, and you just observe. That's it. You already meditated for 5 seconds. That's the only thing. That's really the only thing. So when people say like, I tried meditation, it didn't work for me. It's like, what? How? Like I understand them. They thought they needed to quiet their mind. They were judging themselves about having so many thoughts and not being able to do it. And after the meditation still have many thoughts. But what they actually could have done is to sit with it, still have the same amount of thoughts, but just thinking, that's a thought, that's a thought, that's a thought, I'm putting it in a bubble, I'm putting it in a bubble, I'm putting it in a bubble, and you keep putting it in bubbles. And after that, maybe you're like, shit, I just meditated, but I thought for half an hour, I only was thinking, my mind was super overactive. That judgment is another thought to catch, is another thought to be observant. Like, hey, there's judgment here. Hey, there is irritation here. You see what I mean with observing? You try to observe everything, every thought, every minuscule thing that you're feeling, including judgment, including sadness, including guilt, including anger, including irritation, including boredom, everything you're feeling, you try to observe. And that's really the skill that you're cultivating. You're observing yourself and you're catching yourself constantly. And every time you catch yourself, you can give yourself a little pat on the back. It even is good for your dopamine when you do it like this, because every time when you pat yourself on the back, it's like, great job, I catch myself again. Because sometimes you will notice, and I still have this, I'm meditating for 10 years now, sometimes you notice you're meditating and all of a sudden you were away for 2 minutes and you were thinking about something and you didn't even realize you were thinking. And after 2 minutes of thinking about a complete fantasy or a mental situation or something that happened in the past, doesn't matter, you catch yourself and you're like, oh shit, I was thinking. And then two things you can do, or you can, shit, I was thinking, shit, I didn't do a good meditation. And then you go kind of in a downward spiral, which is not the purpose of meditation. Or you catch yourself and it's like, I was thinking for 2 minutes, holy shit. And you catch yourself and you're like, pat on the back that you catch yourself. Because, and this is a trippy thing maybe, but if you have a thinker in you and you have the observer in you, right? So I'm trying to look for objects here, so you have a thinker in you, this is a thinker, and this is the observer, right? And you went completely into the thinker, so you went completely in here. When you catch yourself, this can never come from the thinker, but that can always have to come from the observer. So when you catch yourself, you were actually here just for a mini second and you're like, oh shit, I see myself thinking. So that's actually a win, because that catch could only come from the observer and not from the thinker. And that's what we're here to do. That's the only process. That's the best I can explain it right now. I hope it makes sense. So, this is what you do for whatever time frame you're doing it. Now, a couple of extra things, but this is the process. This is the core. This is what I want you to get. Just observe. Set a timer and observe. So when it comes to timers, I really like to use an app called Insight Timer. It's free. It has a lot of guided meditations, but I only use the timer. So you can just put in the time. It has some nice meditation bells, but you can also use the clock, on your phone. It's just about you just having, okay, maybe at the start you say, I do 5 minutes. I started with 20 minutes. 20 minutes was for me perfect to start with. 15 minutes, 20 minutes was perfect to start with. I did that for years and it really helped me. I found the mute button after a couple of months. I had a couple of really great experiences. I started to walk on the street, not thinking anymore about what other people were saying. Like, I started to really notice a difference. But that went completely next level when I started to do an hour meditation. When I started to do an hour meditation, that's when I first felt this fountain of thought coming up. Then the thing is, but dude, where do you get an hour? Where do you get an hour of meditation? And this is a very trippy thing that most meditators will agree with me, but most people that never meditated would say this doesn't make sense at all. Meditation saves you time. So when people say, I don't have time to meditate, it's like meditation saves you time. Because when you start to observe your mind and your mind is getting trained and putting in the exercise, what will happen is that a trained mind is very easy. It can focus very well. It's very mindful. It's very aware. So every time you would go to Instagram and scroll on your phone, you will catch yourself, oh, I want to go to Instagram on my phone. I'm not going to do that. Right? Every time you feel triggered and you want to be righteous and you want to prove your point, before that even happens, a trained mind is able to catch itself like, hey, I'm triggered. I'm not gonna do that. So then all of a sudden, all the moments where you would go into distraction and all the moments where you will be emotional triggered, and there's way more things, but let me keep it simple here. All these moments, you don't spend time anymore in these moments. So maybe you do an hour meditation, but you save 2 hours of scrolling and of emotional triggers that have to be played out. So if you didn't do that meditation, you would have spent 2 hours on bullshit, and now you did 1 hour meditation and you actually saved 2 hours in the day. So this happens, and every meditator will agree with me. I'm very sure that this meditation actually saves you time. Not only time, it saves you accidents, it saves you being sick, it saves you a lot of things. Like I dedicate all the, like a lot of people say, oh my God, Phil, you're so lucky that you're living this life. And I'm just like, I just meditate. The meditation is the process that makes you lucky. Meditation is the process that really gives you a trained mind, a clear vision, big mindfulness, and mindfulness will make you very lucky. You will naturally choose the right choice after the right choice after the right choice after the right choice. You will feel better and better what is good for you and what's not good for you. Life will become so much easier, and you will generate so much more happiness by this practice. I assure you. The thing is, you have to practice. It's like gymming. You will not have the biggest biceps in one workout. You will not have an amazing endurance after one time running. It doesn't work like that. It's a practice. Unfortunately, I wish I could say like, hey, do this meditation one time and your whole life will be changed. It's about continuing to sit and observe the whole time. And it can be boring, the meditation itself, it can be messy, it can be chaotic, you can cry, so many things can happen. But focus on what happens after you meditated. Focus on the rest of the day. Start to notice a day with meditation and without meditation and see what difference it's gonna make. That's really all I want to say. I said more than I wanted to say already. I'm very thankful if you're still here. Thank you. An amazing intention if you want to start or improve your meditation. Let's go. Let's become aware. Let's have this trained mind. I made an audio journey for you. This audio journey is just repeating in a little bit in a meditation style what I just shared with you. So it's just repeating those couple of things. But it will have music that is very soothing, and then you're like, Phil, music, you want to do silence meditation. You want to do silence meditation, but some kind of music can really help you in the beginning. Can really, really help you. It's also very peaceful, soothing music. It's just easier for the mind in the beginning, so I would highly recommend to start with music. Now when you're ready, start to see if you can do it in silence, complete silence, like no music or nothing. But I made this for you. It's around 20-25 minutes long, so you can just use this track to practice. You can maybe make an even a little habit tracker or something, track your process. Share with me how you like this, if this was a clear explanation, and if you have any questions, I'm here to help you. Meditation gave me so super much in life, and I hope it will do the same for you, especially now, new year 2024. Let's rock it. And meditation is gonna rock your life. I'm so sure of it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your beautiful intention to start this journey, and let's meditate and let's become great people, even greater than you already are. Okay, much love from me to you. Let's rock it.